All right, get ready to dive deep. Today, we're tackling one of the most fascinating figures of our time, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Yeah, everyone has an opinion about him, but
We're going beyond the headlines. Our listeners sent over excerpts from Walter Isaacson's new biography, Elon Musk. So let's unlock the man behind the myth.
it's a real page-turner, this biography. Isaacson doesn't just tell us what Musk did, he digs into the why.
Exactly. And he kicks off with Musk's childhood in South Africa, which, let me tell you,
Intense.
it was intense, bullying, family struggles. It's the setup for a classic rags to riches story, except, with rockets and electric cars.
Well, more like turbulence to tech dominance in this case, right?
Touche. But seriously, Isaacson makes it clear that these early years were formative. It's like those experiences forged the Elon we know today.
Totally. Take his grandfather, for example. This wasn't your typical grandpa. We're talking breaking wild horses, trading chiropractic adjustments for food in rural Canada. Talk about adventurous genes.
Wow, okay. So risk-taking is in the DNA.
Seems like it. Even Elon's dad described his father as a brilliant, adventurous, but reckless man.
Sounds familiar, actually, but the book doesn't shy away from the tougher stuff either. Young Elon was bullied mercilessly. He was so lonely that he rarely even brought friends home.
Isaacson quotes Musk, describing himself as a bookish, introverted kid, kind of a nerd, really not that happy of a childhood.
And then there's the relationship with his father.
Yeah, real point of tension. The book doesn't hold back. Verbal abuse, a constant feeling of being threatened by his own father. A lot to unpack there.
It sounds absolutely brutal. You'd think that kind of upbringing would break a person, but in a way, it seemed to fuel Musk's drive. He even admits he's motivated by a primal fear of failure.
Absolutely. Isaacson highlights how Musk sought solace in books and technology. He devoured science fiction. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Lord of the Rings. It's like these stories offered him an escape from his difficult reality.
An escape, maybe even a blueprint. And then, at 9 years old, he discovers video games.
And we're not just talking playing them. He taught himself to code, even tried to launch an arcade with his brother Kimball. The entrepreneurial spirit was already there.
That's wild. So from bullied kid to budding tech entrepreneur, all before hitting puberty.
It's remarkable, and Isaacson does a great job connecting those dots, those early coding triumphs, that desire to create. It's all there in the DNA of SpaceX and Tesla.
Right. It's like those experiences planted the seeds for his ambition. But before he was dreaming of Mars, he was already making waves in Silicon Valley. He creates a video game at 12, launches his first company, Zip2, while he's still in his 20s. Was there ever a doubt this guy was destined for big things?
I mean, talk about a self-starter. And here's what I find fascinating. Isaacson really emphasizes that Musk isn't just an idea guy. The man dives deep into the technical stuff, the engineering, the code.
You see that in the early days of Zip2, right?
Yep.
He and his brother, they practically lived and breathed that company. Isaacson talks about the all-nighters, the arguments that were more like wrestling matches than business meetings.
Totally. And it speaks to that intensity that even back then, people who worked with Musk described him as someone you'd follow into battle.
But there's also this interesting paradox because despite his drive and vision, even back then, he struggled with teamwork, with sharing authority.
It's true. For all his strengths, playing nice in the sandbox wasn't exactly his forte.
Which makes his eventual replacement as CEO of Zip2 all the more intriguing. I mean, it takes a certain self-awareness to step aside, even when it's your own company.
Definitely. It shows a capacity for recognizing his limitations, which I think often gets overlooked.
It adds another layer to this image of Musk as this unstoppable force.
Exactly. He's not infallible. He makes mistakes. He stumbles. He even gets ousted from his own companies. But then he takes those experiences, learns from them, and comes back swinging harder.
It's almost like those setbacks just fuel his ambition even more. Speaking of setbacks and ambition, we have to talk about PayPal.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other chapter in the Elon Musk saga.
A chapter that, once again, ends with him being forced out. It's like they say, sometimes you have to get knocked down to learn how to really fly. And fly, he did. But with SpaceX, it wasn't about some metaphorical flight. This was about reaching for the stars, literally. I mean, most kids dream of being astronauts. Musk is shooting for colonizing Mars.
So audacious, right. But Isaacson connects that ambition to a deep-seated belief that we need a planet B.
Because?
Remember all that science fiction Musk devoured as a kid? It seems like it really instilled this fear of human extinction, this idea that becoming multiplanetary is our only insurance policy.
Wow, so it's not just about space exploration for Musk, it's about saving humanity.
Exactly. It's about ensuring our survival, which puts those incredible risks he took with SpaceX in a whole new light. Launching from Kwajalein Atoll, for instance. I mean, who even knew you could launch rockets from a remote island in the Pacific?
It was a bold move. Most people thought he was crazy.
It completely went against conventional aerospace wisdom. But, as the book explains, launching from Kwajalein gave SpaceX the freedom, the flexibility it needed, especially in those early days. And then there's Musk's hands-on approach. When those first 3 SpaceX launches failed,
Oh man, those were nail biters.
he didn't just throw money at the problem,
Not afraid to get his hands dirty, that's for sure.
Exactly. Isaacson describes Musk poring over blueprints, working side by side with his engineers, determined to figure out what went wrong. There's even this anecdote about him rewriting parts of the Falcon 1 flight software himself.
Really?
Yeah, he tackled this problem with the rocket's guidance system that had everyone stumped. Turns out, the guy's a coding whiz, too.
It's incredible. Like, the man builds billion-dollar companies, and then he's down in the trenches rewriting code. You see that hands-on approach mirrored in so many of his ventures. But even with all his brilliance, SpaceX wouldn't be where it is today without a strong team. Isaacson really highlights the importance of his partnership with Gwynne Shotwell, SpaceX's president.
Shotwell is often called the adult in the room at SpaceX, and for good reason.
She's the one who keeps him grounded.
Exactly. Isaacson really drives home how crucial she was in providing that organizational structure, the stability that allowed Musk to be Musk, to focus on the big picture stuff.
So it's this fascinating balance, right? Musk's relentless drive, his willingness to push boundaries, and Shotwell's ability to translate that drive into tangible results. Which brings us to those incredible Falcon 9 landings.
Still blows my mind that they can land those things back on Earth like it's nothing.
It's straight out of science fiction. But even with those triumphs, the road to success wasn't easy. Remember the 2008 financial crisis?
How could we forget?
The book recounts how close SpaceX came to total collapse. Isaacson even shares this gripping anecdote about Musk frantically trying to secure funding on Christmas Eve while also wrapping presents for his kids. Talk about pressure.
It really humanizes him, doesn't it? Even a visionary like Musk is vulnerable to real-world events.
And speaking of challenges and real-world events, let's talk about Tesla.
Oh boy, yeah. If SpaceX was a roller coaster, Tesla was like riding a rocket strapped to a runaway train.
Electric Avenue, more like electric mayhem, am I right?
That's a perfect way to put it. Tesla's journey was fraught with near-death experiences, production nightmares, constant battles against an industry that didn't want him to succeed. But here's the thing. Isaacson reveals that Musk always saw Tesla as more than just a car company.
Yeah, he wanted to revolutionize the entire auto industry.
Exactly. For him, it was about spearheading this global shift towards sustainable energy.
So it wasn't about building cool electric cars, it was about saving the planet. Typical Musk, always thinking big picture.
Always.
Ah.
But again, that need for control, for doing things his way, it caused friction, especially with those early Tesla CEOs.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme with him.
The book really delves into those clashes, which ultimately led to Musk taking direct control of the company. Once again, we see that tension between his grand vision and his struggle to relinquish control.
But also his unwavering belief in his own instincts, right?
Exactly. He was willing to bet everything on his vision, even when everyone else thought he was crazy.
Like when he insisted on sleeping on the factory floor during Tesla's production hell.
Exactly. He wasn't going to ask his team to do something he wasn't willing to do himself. Isaacson describes this almost obsessive focus on efficiency, on breaking down problems to their core and rebuilding from first principles.
And it's that relentlessness, that pursuit of innovation that led to groundbreaking vehicles like the Model S. He proved that electric cars could be not only practical, but desirable, even luxurious.
But the journey wasn't without its bumps. Remember those Falcon wing doors on Model X? The engineers were like, "That's impossible. It can't be done."
And Musk said,
"Do it anyway." And what do you know?
those doors became one of the car's most iconic features. It makes you wonder, is he a control freak, a visionary, or a little bit of both?
Right. It's a question that comes up again and again throughout the book.
Okay, so we've gone from zero to space with SpaceX. We've charged into the future with Tesla. But hold on tight because we're not done with Elon Musk's wild ride just yet.
Like, he can't help but push the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
AI, Twitter, brain chips. Isaacson really dives into this more controversial side of Musk in the final chapters.
It's a lot to process. Like, on the one hand, you have Musk expressing this deep fear of AI going rogue. It's why he co-founded OpenAI to make sure AI development benefits humanity. But then
He goes and invests in Neuralink.
exactly. Neuralink, which is developing brain-computer interfaces. I mean, it seems a bit contradictory, doesn't it? Trying to save us from AI while simultaneously spearheading its most powerful forms.
It's a paradox that Isaacson explores in depth. It seems Musk believes that to mitigate the risks of AI, we need to understand it fully, even merge with it. The idea being that by linking human minds with AI, we can guide its development, steer it in a positive direction.
It's both fascinating and terrifying, to be honest. And then, of course, there's the whole Twitter takeover.
Ah, yes, the Twitter saga.
I mean, who buys a social media giant on what seems like a whim? It was chaotic, impulsive even.
There was certainly a lot of head-scratching when that went down. But Isaacson suggests there's more to it than meets the eye. He highlights Musk's long-held belief in free speech and his desire to transform Twitter into an everything app.
Right. He's talked about creating a sort of digital town square. But honestly, those Twitter escapades, the public spats, the cryptic tweets,
The wild ride for sure.
it felt like a masterclass in how to command attention, whether you loved him or hated him.
And Isaacson doesn't shy away from those less flattering aspects of Musk's personality. But he also provides this surprisingly intimate look at Musk's personal life, his relationships, his often tumultuous family dynamics, the toll that his ambition takes on those closest to him.
There's that one line in the book that really struck me. Musk says he never actually wanted to be CEO of all these companies. He felt he had to be. It makes you wonder, is that the mark of a control freak, a visionary, or maybe?
A little bit of both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the question Isaacson leaves us pondering. What drives a mind like Musk's? Is it ambition? Fear? Some deep-seated need to prove himself? I don't know that there are any easy answers.
And that's the beauty of this biography. It doesn't offer easy answers. It invites you to grapple with these complex questions. It's clear that Elon Musk is a walking, talking contradiction. Brilliant, flawed, frustrating, but undeniably captivating.
He's a figure who sparks endless debate, forces us to confront some really big questions about the future of technology, about the role of ambition, about what it means to be human in an age of accelerating innovation.
And that's what makes this deep dive so compelling. It's more than just a biography of one man. It's a lens through which to view our changing world, to confront the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
If there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this conversation, it's that understanding Elon Musk isn't about condoning or condemning his actions. It's about engaging with the larger questions he represents. And maybe, just maybe, those questions will spark some introspection, some soul-searching about our own roles in shaping the future.
Well said. Ultimately, the future is not something that happens to us. It's something we create. And I hope this deep dive has equipped our listeners with some new tools, some fresh perspectives to help them do just that.